Our cars had a hell of a 2022 season. Now it's time for the winter service.
We will assemble the cars bit by bit and take you on the way to the journey.
And by the end of it, you will have an overview of all the goodies that make the magic happen.
So welcome to the Red Bull Drift Brothers channel, and let's get cracking.
Let's start on the outside, the body kit. For us, two main tasks are to cover the immensely increased track width of our drift cars, and also we have to drift if it's raining as well, so keep the weather influences outside.
And for me, a body kit doesn't need any purpose at all. For me, it might as well be just for style. It gives you a distinctive look, different from the other drivers.
Fair enough, I would say. Let's get cracking and get it off here.
There is no magic to removing that body kit. It's just about remembering where you put a bolt in. You remove them and then you pop it off. Ellie needs a bit of help with removing the parts. He was really focusing on driving recently, not working on the cars anymore, so.
I can tell you one thing where I'm faster, in disassembling the rear bumper.
Yeah, no, almost identical cars, both running LSXs, and Eli Hutanji takes the back bumper.
Yeah, like really fast. And you see, that's why we do this. This is the debris and dirt that build up over the last season. It is all over the car, and that's why it's quite smart to disassemble a race car from time to time, to check if everything's still working and to make sure everything's still working. And it's also nice to clean up the car from time to time.
So, car is almost naked. It's basically naked.
It's a look I dig the most. Like there was a video from our first testing where we drove the car just like that. Looked insane.
Yeah,
loved it.
It really looks cool. So you can really see what's behind all that. And I mean, body kit is off. Was quite a good job.
Yeah, quite
Still
easy.
dirty hands, but that's how it should be. Next stop is the lift.
It won't go from the lift under its own power,
but onto the lift. Let's start it up one last time. One last time we start it up. A little bit sad. We'll be here for the next couple of weeks, not moving, not starting its engine, but it is what it is. We have to service it. Cars on the lift. Next up, we don't need those anymore, the wheels. Actually, we run 20 inches in the rear. To be really precise, it's a 10.5 inch in width and 20 inch in diameter. And mostly we ran 285, 35, 20 inch tires in the rear.
which is huge.
But yeah, the car is also quite big and also quite heavy. That's why we also try to use a big tire to just get the advantage out of the tire. The rims are actually forged. Those are the ones you get on the competition models from BMW. They are really nice, around 10 kilos. Front is a 9.5 by 19. So this is also stock size, and in the end we also ran the stock tire size in the front, 275, 35, 19. But also performance wise, the wheels make a huge difference. The lighter you get, the better it is, and the lighter you have the wheel, the more direct is your response from the car.
Yes.
So the wheel can follow like uneven surfaces way easier. If you make steering inputs and stuff, the car will just react quicker.
Yes.
And every gram you save here, it's well saved.
Now, as we're finished with the good looking parts and we know how the car should look, we now need to check how the car moves. We take you in for a technical deep dive and we start with the cooling system, do the engine, suspension, all of it. If you want more, let us know in the comments and we go into a way deeper dive for every part that you guys are interested in.
I would say let's go.
Let's get cracking.
Welcome to the technical side, and we start with the cooling system. All those beautiful parts need to go sideways in our case, very fast and very smoky. Therefore we need a lot of power, over 1000 horsepower in those engines. But that the horsepower lasts, we need cooling. Next step would be get it out. We learned something.
Absolutely. Great tech tip from Robbie. You can either drain it by gravity, just opening the hoses and let it drain, and then you have huge amounts of spill and everything. Or you disconnect the top hose and put a hoover in it and just hoover all the water out. The nice part about it, you get less spills and your hoover gets cleaned as well. So. To remove something properly, if you don't know the exact location of the bolts, remove every bolt you see and then you give it a good yank. Well, if you break it while giving it a good yank, you should stiffen it anyway. You see? I don't know, is it loose? Gave it a good yank. It is.
Radiator pack 1 removed. Actually, Stefan jumped in. Oh. Next up is a big one, that's why it's good that we have another pair of hands. You already see we removed the wiring harness of the engine, this beautiful S58 engine. Next up is really getting the engine out here.
We just cheated in between because we can stand around and watch the hoover empty the cooling system, or we can start removing more stuff. So we removed the wiring and everything, so now we can go underneath and then yank the engine out.
Yeah.
Yank the engine out. That's Ellie peeing in the background.
Radiators are out. Next up is a big one.
The engine.
The engine. S58 engine, basically the stock BMW M3, M4, X4M, X3M engine. However, we modified it quite a bit, especially the cylinder head. We added a bigger turbo.
Sorry.
Please. Sorry. Here.
Still spinning, that's good.
Yeah, so this is also the biggest upgrade to the 2021 season. There we ran twin turbos, and in 2022 we modified it to a single turbo setup with fresh air ALS, which we also had a small build series on. And I would say enough of the talking, let's see if we can get the 1000 horsepower and around 1200 Newton meters out of the car.
Well, we need to do a bit more stuff first. There's still someone elbow deep in the engine bay, and I think he shall finish, and we need to disconnect the gearbox from below and everything to get the engine out. But then we give it a good yank and
oh, well.
further.
Yeah, I would love that his imagination would be the reality, because then everything would be like this. We disconnected all the sensors, wires from the engine on top.
And all the cooling lines, everything. And the power steering lines as well.
Yep, quick pro tip. If you don't want to open up your power steering system, just disconnect the power steering pump, leave it at the side.
Remove it from the engine, not disconnect it. Leave all the lines on.
That's the correct term, thank
Yes.
you. And then you don't have a mess, that's cool. But now we are underneath. Next things are?
We need to remove the prop shaft and the gearbox mount and some Miss Angular stuff that's here as well. Like remove that pipe to a certain extent, remove the downpipe so we can yank the engine out the front.
Cool.
Use the impact drive quite a lot.
And let's get all that stuff out.
Yeah. Shall we yank it? That's the sound of gentleness. The other pro tip is to have enough space in the back to actually move it out fully.
I gotta stack it, I gotta have it, racking that money up, I gotta add it, I've been a savage, size Aladdin.
The biggest piece for today, or at least the heaviest.
Yes.
I would say the heaviest. For sure. Engine is out.
Manifold still looks excellent. We will inspect that for sure.
Have to. It's a very stressed part. It starts glowing most of the time when we're driving. Cools down afterwards, so it has a hard life here.
Absolutely.
Next up,
Suspension.
suspension.
I guess we freed up the all the subframes and everything. so we can drop that out. We will do some in-between work and drain all the fluids from the brake system and everything, so we can just yank it out tomorrow really quickly for you. Don't mind if we look different in the next shot, because it's in the evening now. We had some nice dinner, we're not tired, want to go home. Maybe do a bit more tomorrow.
Yeah, we call it a day for today, and we see you tomorrow.
Cool. For today we use my preferred method of dropping a subframe. That's what I usually do. I tend to leave the engine in as well from time to not have to take it with the cherry picker, but this is fine as well. I already disconnected the brake line so it stops dripping on a nice floor. And now we can just lower the car on the subframe and then drop it all together. Always when you loosen bolts, don't try to apply a continuous torque, try to snap them off. It's far better and lower risk of damaging the treads.
6.5 hours later.
We removed all the bolts. The subframe should be sitting on this rolling table now. So we just raise the car up and it will drop down. Quite easy to disassemble all the parts while it's there. This is aluminum. Aluminum is
Aluminium.
aluminium. Aluminium. I'm really sorry, Robbie. Aluminium is a material which can stress crack under certain conditions, and we just need to make sure that every part of the subframe is still in order and there are no cracks in the welds. Just to be certain, this is a properly constructed subframe. So I don't think we will have any issues, but we need to be on the safe side there.
These are the centering pins that basically place the subframe in the exact position in the chassis. And yeah, as it came out really easy, we guess there's no bending in the chassis, but it's so stiff, the chassis, that if you have a crash, for example, a hard incident, and one of the two bends, it will bend in a different way than the other,
yes.
And you will feel it while getting it out, or at least if you try to get it in again. Absolutely. But yeah, this one is fine. We never had an incident in the front, a bad one, luckily. That's good. Only in the rear a bit.
For the rear subframe, same procedure. You place it on the tabletop and then you just loosen all the bolts and then it will hopefully fall out.
This is the strong guy, this is the weak guy.
Oh yeah, that's coming good. All of these bolts, which are stock BMW, need to be replaced afterwards, because the idea was that you tighten this bolt until it stretches, so you get more clamping force. But when the bolt is stretched, it won't hold the same clamping force afterwards. So we need to remember to change all these bolts. This is really where the magic happens. So we can't tell all our secrets.
All our secrets we
but
can't
we can
tell.
share a few.
Yeah. Let's start in the front again. What's the main task in drifting for the front suspension? As you can see, we have a lot of holes here and there, so we need a lot of adjustment. As I said, you have to be able to adjust to the track, to the weather conditions, to the opponent. What you also want in drifting is a lot of steering angle to drive on high drifting angle. And also, we widen the track. That's why we have different wishbones down here, to when we have the high angle, that the wheel doesn't touch the frame rails or the subframe here. So these are some of the main points in the front. Also, you want to have your roll center in check. This is a virtual point that really is important if you want to have a responsive car. These are some of the main things that we have here. And in our case, in the beginning, we started with an electrical steering rack, but we modified it to a hydraulic steering rack, as the electrical one would have been way too difficult to get it into check, because it's on FlexRay and this is a quite complex bus system. There is so much data on that we don't need. Going to the rear axle, Rear axle in drifting, in professional drifting, number one priority, as much grip as possible. Second priority, also all the adjustability that you want. And what is most important in the rear, the toe adjustment. So that means how the wheel is aligned in that direction. The camber adjustment, how the wheel is aligned in that direction. And then also we talked before the spring rate, so we can change the spring rate, in quotes, the spring rate with the different bolt holes here. And other than that, it's a lot of trickery inside, how the wheel moves, how it goes inside, how the anti-squat is, how much the car squats or not,
Ellie.
and all that. Yeah.
For you.
Yes, I could go out of the way. You see that upper arm here?
Oh yeah.
This has a bend shape, which is somewhat uncommon. Normally you try to make your arms quite straight, because this is the best way you can do it, or how they can transfer the loads that come from the wheels to the subframe. But especially this one, we did it on purpose, and it proved to be very good a couple times already. So if there is too much load, for example, you hit an opponent or an opponent hits you, or you hit a wall or something like that, if there's too much load on the suspension in the rear, this arm normally bends and all the rest of the arms stays intact. And it's really proven, I think, 4 or 5 times that it worked. And yeah, in the end, yeah, sure, you have to replace this arm, but it's better you only replace this arm than replacing the entire subframe or the upright or any other part that is way more complex than this arm.
The beauty of this arm is, as well, as you can see, it's not adjustable. So you remove this arm, put another one in, same length. You don't change anything on the setup. You don't need to readjust. You just pop that one out, pop the next one in. That's really cool. Ellie dropped a lot of nerd shit, which I'm really interested in. If you're interested in the whole suspension stuff, leave a comment, tell us you're interested in, and Ellie knows a whole bunch more than he just told you.
A bit.
Quite a bit.
With all the geometry trickery in the suspension, you also need a bit of a trickery damper and spring setup. This is, as said, ST suspension, 3-way adjustable, race-proven system. We have it 3-way adjustable, so we can adjust low speed, high speed bump, and the rebound here. And we can also change the springs, spring rates, preload on the spring. So everything that we need to adjust is in here. And this is the next piece that you need to get all the grip out and all the control out of the drift car.
That's my phone cracking.
Last point on the list for today is the interior.
The most horrible stuff for me, because you have to fold in, it's not nice wrenching anymore, you're in a confined space, which isn't too nice, but needs to be done.
In the interior, what we will disassemble are the seats. This is the most important thing for the driver, because it connects you with the car and the seat belts. Then we will have
Dashboard,
our
Motec stuff, and as you will see, we didn't paint the whole cars. We just painted what you're seeing from the outside. So this needs to be done as well.
Yeah, for painting now everything, we will also take out the very nice carbon fiber firewall in the back that Niklas from HN Engineering back then did for us, which is amazing. And you can finally also see all the beautiful parts in one. Other than that,
we never showed the firewall to any of you, actually.
Because this is really a part where there was time spent to detail and also to looks.
Yes.
Because most of the time in the 6 months that we had for the build series, there was only time spent for make it work
quickly. I hate interior. Not my favorite wrench. Tends to stick a bit.
Very nice piece.
Beautiful in it. Oh, we got some rust there. I shall cover this with my hand. Pro tip, if you bolt carbon fiber to steel, the steel will rust to death. And if you use steel bolts, they will rust as well. So either use aluminum or stainless steel bolts.
2,000 years later.
The Passenger compartment is almost empty, still a lot of stuff in. We need to clean up. Now we have the time to finally also route it properly. Some lines in the top. And two things are left here. Gear stick to shift gears and the e-brake. Probably, I guess, the most used tool when it comes to chase driving is probably the e-brake, maybe also with the pedals down there. So yeah, this is the almost empty shell now. And oh yeah, you brought something here.
I just wanted to drop, I hate that half as the paint job in this car. Which was me, by the way.
So yeah, this is the intelligence we already got out. So we have the Motec M142, that's the ECU engine control unit. Then we have the Motec PDM30, that's the power distribution module. This basically contains fuses and relays in one piece, and you can also just track all the power outputs and surges. And we also have an expander module, as we wanted to have so much information from the car, so many sensors, that we used this one and almost maxed it out. So this is basically the brain of the entire car when it's running, beside the driver maybe. Sitting here in all those parts, I just realized again how much support we got for that amazing project, especially from you out there. You were the energy that kept us running. We referred to a couple of videos, you find them in the description below. And also don't be shy, write your comments, write your questions in the comments, and we see that we can answer them as good as we can.
Yeah.
And I would say, before Kevin gets more hangry because he didn't have breakfast this morning.
Yeah, really hungry.
Yeah.
Need to eat something now.
I would say that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Thank you. Good job, man.